Hello everybody, I am Ben from Team Panic. I am a regular at ARC and today I'm actually building two loan bots for the ARC that you actually may see on future videos on this channel. So one of those loan bots I'm going to build here on the ARC channel, and one of them I'm going to build on my channel, which will be linked in the description down below. So as I said, I'm kind of a regular at ARC. You may have seen some of my robots fight. I normally fight with Don't Need Roads, which is a drum spinner robot, but today we are taking apart this guy, which is our Ducket, a loan bot that I made for the ARC a little while ago and fought at Maker Faire in 2016, but has kind of been retired on and off since then. Never really quite worked very well, and it was a thwack bot design. So today we're going to take this, we're going to turn it into two separate machines. The one on my channel is going to be a reimagining of this duck-shaped design, except for this time we're going to use a servo motor and actually power the head, so the head becomes more of a hammer than a thwack. And yeah, kind of maybe keep the same shape. I'm not quite sure yet. We have to go check that video out to find out. But then on this channel, we're going to steal the guts of this thing and also steal kind of the design intent behind it. The design intent behind our Ducket was to be something that was a lot of fun to drive, but not necessarily the most effective thing in the world. So we're going to go with something similar this time round. And right here on this channel, we're going to build a very interesting tracked robot, which, much like our Ducket, should be a lot of fun to drive, but is potentially going to be woefully ineffective. So yeah, I think to start with, we need to pull Ducket apart, take the Arduino board and electronics out of the middle here, and then get some printing happening. Okay, so while the tracks are setting up, let's just have a quick little chat about this thing and how it's coming together and the kind of design intention for it. So this here, which you probably saw printed just before, is actually the weapon bar. It's supposed to sit about here, And in the original design, I was going to have it so that there was an extra motor inside, and the motor would spin this up and around the body, doing a full 360-degree rotation, so making it essentially a full body lifter. I mean, admittedly, this thing doesn't really have anything to hold somebody onto, but if they got caught, you could lift them up and throw them around. However, I've built tracked robots in the past, and I know that tracks are quite heavy for what they are. So I was hesitant to put that motor into the first design just in case the thing got overweight. Now, that is actually a big important thing. At the moment, with just everything I have in front of me, this robot is at 133 grams, which is a lot. It means that I've got basically 17 grams left to fit the tracks and also to fit the axle that's going to hold this together. Now, the original plan was that the axle for this guy was going to be a 5mm bolt, or two 5mm bolts, two short little 5mm bolts that were going to hold everything together. However, that may not happen right now, because that would mean that this thing would be extremely overweight. I have measured the tracks before the track molds, before I put the silicon into them, and I've measured them now that they have silicon in them, and it looks like the tracks are going to cost about 10 grams each, which means this thing is already 3 grams overweight before I try and mount the weapon to the actual robot, which is a little annoying, but that is something we're going to have to work on. So I think this is just going to have to be a version 1 of this robot. I'm going to get it up and running. I'm going to get it moving today in this video, and then I'm going to have to do an update and change the design quite a bit. I think shrink the triangle down here, meaning that we have smaller tracks which weigh less. I'm really not sure exactly how far down I can shrink that. I can probably get it just a little bit smaller there, and then I'm going to have to, I think, rethink the weapon design, yeah, and maybe make it so that it doesn't come directly from the center of the robot, or maybe even redesign these wheels. There's a lot of things that I could take some weight out of. It just is going to depend on how much weight I have at the end of all of this. So yeah, we'll have to put this on the scale once this is all done, measure it up, see how much weight we have, or how far over we are, and then that will determine the changes that get made into version 2. But for now, I just need to sit here and wait for the silicon tracks to set up. You guys don't have to wait for that. There's going to be a cut, and they will be done. We'll be adding them to the robot, and then we'll get this thing driving around and see what it actually looks like as it moves. I'm also probably going to have to hot glue some of these bolts so that they don't come out while driving around, but that's something I will do off camera, I'm sure. All right, let's wait for these tracks and then get some testing happening. Okay, so here we go, the finished product, and it is a success and a failure. It's a success in the fact that it looks awesome. This thing looks exactly the way I wanted it to look when I first set out to try and build something like this. These triangle tracks look amazing, the color scheme works really well, and this weapon, despite the fact that it would be horribly ineffective, I think, in a fight, looks really, really cool as well. Of course, it is a failure in other aspects. These triangle tracks, I didn't quite get them aligned correctly between the bumps on the registration bumps on the inside of the track and the registration
holes in the actual wheels, so these tracks do come off, which is a bit of an issue, especially when you're trying to fight something that's supposed to have tracks underneath it at all times. So that is something that could be improved on and will be improved on in the next version of this. Also, the whole thing is 160 grams, which means I'm a full 10 grams overweight. And as anybody who's ever built an ant weight will tell you, 10 grams over is go back and do it again type weight. You can't gain that weight back simply by drilling speed holes or anything like that. You actually need to make a significant change to the design to actually get that weight back again. So in this case, a significant change to the design would be to shrink the whole design, because at the moment, this is a pretty huge ant weight. I mean, it is massive just in terms of its overall size. So yeah, I'll have to do a second version of this guy at some point, but now that I've done the initial build, I have all of these ideas that I can go through and do that second version of. And I don't think there's a single robot that I've ever built that I haven't had to do at least a second version of before I've been happy and comfortable fighting it and or letting other people fight it. So yeah, we'll do a second version of this at some point over on my channel. So if you've enjoyed this one, please do jump over to my channel and check out the build that I'm doing over there, because that is going to be even more hilarious than this one, and hopefully that one will actually make weight. Yeah, and anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and hopefully I'll see you on my channel.